Welcome. Life's messy, funny, and full of stories worth telling. On Cat Stories, we bring you a bunch of short ones every time, quick, relatable, and maybe just what you needed today. My name's Kathleen and let's jump in. And for our next post, am I the idiot for not interfering during a board game? This night, me 37M and my girlfriend 30F went to another couple's house to play board game and have a few drinks. They invited someone else I'm good friends with, Philip 38M, and haven't seen in a few weeks. My GF and I had been spending the day together in a spa, running errands and getting coffee. Anyway, the night gets underway and we're starting our board game. Nobody else but my girlfriend played before, so she explained the rules. The board game was Ticket to Ride and decently complicated to explain, especially to a few drunk adults. The mood was rowdy and a bit childish, but as expected, I could see she was getting frustrated and annoyed with us, so during a smoke break I said to Philip to turn it down a notch and for us both to be more thoughtful of the situation. Although that did help somewhat, they both kept arguing and spoiling the mood, enough for everybody else to tell them to stop bickering. After that the mood was pretty terrible, but I feel it did recover somewhat. I concentrated on learning the game and paying attention to not rile Philip up more. Philip took it easier too and settled in a bit. My GF was annoyed at people taking too long on their turns, rolled her eyes when we're asking for rule clarifications or looked stuff up ourselves, and to be honest was terrible at explaining the game in general. When everybody goes outside to celebrate the new year, I get into a huge argument with my GF about how we're ganging up on her, how I'm not defending her and have been ignoring her all evening by not sitting next to her. It gets pretty heated, but I tell her it's not my responsibility how people react to her behavior and I'm not here to police her or Philip. She says she does not enjoy our humor and doesn't get the constant shooting jokes back and forth where we make fun of each other. I tell her to lighten up. It's a group situation and we all adapt to it and find a balance. Easier said than done, I guess. She accuses me of not sticking up for her and for only joking around with Philip and paying more attention to him than her. We finish the game in what I can only describe as silence and everybody goes home. She went home instead of to my place as planned, and I'm pretty upset that New Year's was soured by this and feel there's no reason for it to have gone this way. And for our next post, am I the idiot for reacting how I did? Please note that this only shocked me as much as it did, as we have had a similar interaction in the past which resulted in her being asked not to speak to me in a rude tone. Today I was at a New Year's brunch at my boyfriend's grandparents' house. All seemed to be going well until I was standing behind him looking at his phone because he wanted to show me something when his grandmother suddenly yelled no at me from across the table. I was obviously shocked. Andy boyfriend just told me to go sit down, so I did, and I just kind of stewed in my anger through lunch and dessert. At some point a few minutes after we had finished dessert, my boyfriend noticed what was wrong, so I began to tell him, and then his grandmother appeared at the table and immediately began to speak over me. At this point I was pretty worked up, but I was hiding it quite well. My boyfriend decided that this was a good time to ask her to be more gentle with me because I have a few mental issues. This resulted in her acting quite defensive and asking what she could have possibly said. This is where I started talking and I told her what she had said, and I used the tone she had said it to me and to tell her, and I immediately followed up with saying I do not appreciate being spoken to like that and I will not allow anyone to talk to me in such ways. I however acknowledge that you are senior to me and you deserve respect, and I just wanted to let you know that I respect you deeply. She reacted to this with such shock as if she had just seen a car crash. At this point my boyfriend's parents returned to the table and practically yelled, "What is going on? Why are we arguing?" This is when I realized I was no longer welcome and the energy of the room shifted drastically. I made a phone call to my mother to try and get her to come pick me up, but she was busy, so I began to order an Uber, but my boyfriend didn't want me to waste my money, so he went and called his dad to drive me home. As we were about to pull out the driveway, my boyfriend's mother came up to the car window and told my boyfriend, "You will be coming back because you were actually invited, and my name needs to calm down and be more logical and think about her actions before we will talk again." After a very awkward car ride and lots of crying, I am now lying in bed wondering if I am the idiot because I'm still angry about this 4 hours later. And for our next post, am I the idiot for honking at driver that stopped in the oncoming lane's mid-left turn for a pedestrian? So recently, I had a bit of an argument with my stepdad while driving. So, I was the one driving when this happened. There was a driver from the other side of the road in the center left turn lane, and they were turning left. If they didn't stop in the middle of the road, then everything would have been fine. But they ended up stopping in the middle of the travel lanes. I ended up having to brake decently hard to avoid T-boning them. It really frightened me, and in response, I honked at them. But the thing is, they were stopping because of a crossing pedestrian. Then my stepdad gets pissed at me for honking, calling me an idiot, saying that they were just letting the pedestrian through and not running the pedestrian over. He even accused me of trying to urge that driver to just run over the pedestrian. Yes, I'm serious. On the one hand, I can fully understand that one would want to let a pedestrian through. I'd want drivers to stop for me and not hit or endanger me. But I counter-argue that with this: if the other driver couldn't clear the driveway by the time the pedestrian would reach it, then they should have stayed in the CLTL and waited for the pedestrian to get fully across, even if that means having to wait even longer for a gap in oncoming traffic. If I were that other driver, that's what I would have won. But what do you think? Am I an idiot for honking at that other driver, or not? And for our next post, am I the idiot for simply asking my boyfriend's dad to put a plate in the cabinet? Short story short, I was making a cream pie with fruits on top, strawberries, kiwis, mango, etc. I was in the kitchen finishing it off, and my boyfriend's dad, I'll call him Stefan, was finishing off a dish he was making. My boyfriend's grandpa was coming over at 6 p.m., so Stefan was making things for him in advance and I was making the pie. So the clock hits 6 p.m. and his grandpa is supposed to come at any minute. So Stefan rushes and cleans the counters and asks me to hurry, so I grabbed some things to put away but said I was slow and not fast enough. I put the pie in the freezer and get 2 other things to put away in a second fridge. A plate, which was the only thing on the counter and something I was no longer using, was in his way of cleaning. As I carried 2 other things to put in the garage fridge, I said to Stefan, "You can put that plate away if you want, it's clean," in a normal, non-bitchy or bossy tone. I come back inside to clean away the berries and Stefan says behind me, "Daphne, don't ever tell me to put things away like that again," in a serious tone, which I never heard from him before. I'm ashamed of it, but I'm a pretty sensitive person. If I'm only nice and respectful to a person and suddenly they snap at me like this, it's hard for me to act the same way again. I don't know if anyone else here is like this, but it happens to me a lot. Once this happens, I feel the urge to get lost and not be seen again for the rest of the day. I grew up in a severely abusive home. After he said that to me, I left. I told my boyfriend this and he sides with his dad, of course, and says what I did was very disrespectful. I personally do not see this, and I want to know if I was an idiot here. Thank you. And for our next post, am I the idiot for arguing to delay putting my dog down? Backstory: my cousin got married and the wedding party was over the Christmas break. I 17M came to Senegal, where he and my dad's side of the family live with my whole family, mom, dad, and 2 brothers. I'm the middle child and I got forced to stay here from December 17 to January 3, and I'm writing this the night of January 1st. I really would rather have come for less time, as I don't like missing my whole winter break for this trip. My parents know this, as they've sent me here before, and I've always told them I don't like spending a lot of time here for various reasons. For the issue, my dog is an 8-year-old German Shepherd and has had both bad and good health for the past year, and when I left on the 17th he was doing pretty good. He could walk and even run sometimes. The rest of the info I'm about to write, I found out earlier tonight. Apparently right after I left, his health deteriorated really quickly and he was struggling to walk. Then as of today the 1st, we found out he has degenerative myelopathy. He needs to be put down. His back legs gave out, and he can't walk more than 1,015 steps without giving up. I get back from my trip on Friday, December 3rd at night. My parents said that they don't want him to suffer, and they want to put him down before any of us get back. My obvious problem with that is 1, I don't think that generally we should put him down without any of us there, and 2, the people who would be there with him on his deathbed are my neighbors. They are close friends, but genuinely I want to be there for him as he passes. We argued for a while about how to handle this situation, and as of now haven't come to any conclusion. They obviously disagree with my opinion on how we should handle this situation, hence the conflict. I know it's selfish to keep him alive for what could potentially be 2 or 3 more days, but I want to see him and give a proper goodbye and have him die knowing he is loved. Am I the idiot? And for our next post, am I the idiot H for yelling at an elderly man? I, 18F, work later in the morning at a fast food restaurant, and every morning we get a pretty good crowd of seniors. I just switched from nights to mornings, so I'm not very familiar with the regulars. There's this one old man who comes in often according to my coworkers, and he has a problem with this one homeless guy who comes in a lot to buy coffee and something small to eat. While I was serving someone in the drive-thru, I could see the old man staring and giving dirty looks to the homeless man, and it was started to bother me, but I didn't know what to say. My manager asked me to do a coffee round because when she does it, the old man always complains about the homeless man being in the restaurant, and I'm pretty abrasive and can't stand when people are rude to others. When I reached his table, he didn't say anything about the homeless man, but he did give me a dirty look when I reached the homeless man and gave him a refill on his coffee. A few minutes later, the homeless man stood up and walked near the front to get more cream sugar for his coffee. The old man came storming up and started yelling at him, saying, "Get out of here. You don't belong in here. You're here all the time and I'm sick of seeing you." I slammed my hands on the counter and said, "That's enough. Just because you have different financial situations doesn't make you better than him. He's a paying customer and he's minding his own business. If you have a problem with him being here and keep giving him dirty looks or say one more rude thing, then you can get out because we don't tolerate harassment here." Then he said something about how I should respect old people and have better customer service skills, so I told him respect is earned, not given, and then the old man sat down. When he finished his coffee, he said he was never coming back, so I said, "Okay, bye, have the day you deserve," and gave him a smile while waving. I understand I should have spoken to him nicer because two wrongs don't make a right, but I hate my job and I'm sick of dealing with the disrespect that comes with working in fast food, especially from people who think I should respect them just because they're elderly. Plus, the day prior I put in my 2 weeks notice. So am I the idiot for yelling at him? All right, that's it for this one. If these stories made you smile or think, hit like and subscribe for more. Oh, and don't forget to share your own stories in the comments. I love hearing them. See you next time. It's Kathleen. See you all later.